Welcome to a Trucker's Mind podcast. I'm Eddie McGee.
It's your boy K Things.
And we're back, man. Episode 298.
Yes, sir.
And we got a special guest in the building.
A very special guest.
Very special guest. Comedian, sketch comedian, and all things comedy aficionado, Chris Flail.
Woo! We don't have like the round of applause, but
Thank you for having me again. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
yeah,
It's
we
good to
didn't
be
even
back.
have a video. We didn't have a camera or anything. We were
didn't.
sitting at
Nothing.
a table.
That's what I said. It was just the dead summer, no
Yeah.
camera, just
Yeah, it
all
was
audio,
hot.
sitting up here sweating during the
Yeah.
pandemic.
It was, yeah. I got to listen to. What do you know? What number that is, Eddie?
I can't remember, man. I have to look.
Yeah, but go look that up. That's a great episode.
Yeah, it was. And what's crazy, too, is not a lot of people that would come and do anything during the pandemic. Everybody was so fucking scared.
Yeah.
But this guy came in and was like, I'll do a podcast. I'm like, it's the only fucking guy that wants to do it.
That's comedians. We're gluttons for punishment. We're like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll turn into a zombie. Who cares?
And fucking Chris was like, I'll die.
Yeah, that's it. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, dope,
Yeah.
man. Well, we'll get right into it. But the first topic we spoke about last week, which was Matt Rife. However, I wanted to go back into this. So we have an actual stand-up comedian on here and just
Yeah.
kind of pick his brain a little bit. So let's get right into it. Matt Rife. Recently, Matt Rife had a Netflix special, and on there, he cracked a domestic violence joke, right? And in that domestic violence joke, he mentioned, how in Baltimore, they had a waitress that had a black eye. And the joke kind of went like, well, they should have had her in the back or something. She should be cooking. She shouldn't be out here with the public with the black eye. And they said, well, if she could cook, maybe she wouldn't have a black eye. Yeah. So it was just a very basic, stand-up joke. But a lot of women didn't like it, okay? As any of you who know Matt Rife know, he has a very large female audience. And I don't know if they really like it for his comedy. I think they want to fuck him. So what I'll do is give Chris the floor here and see what his perspective on this is.
Yeah, I made a video about this. I don't blame him for this. What people said is it's a domestic violence joke, and it's a joke that's about the subject of domestic violence. But
Right.
the first thing I said is, like you said, it's a lazy joke. There's not a whole lot of setup in there. There's not a whole lot of layers to it. Mm-hmm. It's not worked into during the act. It's inarticulate. It doesn't even really make sense. There's not a strong connection point there. But but what I'm saying is, that's what you signed up for. That's the person you elevated to the top of your platform. And it kind of speaks to the change that's going on because of social media in the industry. As you see these darlings coming up that either they're very attractive and or they do a lot of crowd work and or they do a lot of simple jokes. And I've talked with my comedy colleagues about it, is we're starting to cater to the people that we used to kick out of comedy clubs now. The person that used to yell out during your show is the one that you would kick out. Now that's the person that you're inviting, and you're basically telling them, if you give me $20 or $30 or $40, I will spend, instead of you coming out to my show, I'll spend my show just asking you about what you do for a living and who your lover is. And that's what this has become to. So it's not, it's the shallow end of the pool. And then you thrust this guy up into a Netflix special, and he's got to fill an hour. It's like, what do you expect him to? This is what you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I know, like, I don't know for sure. I haven't watched the special. Is the special recorded in Baltimore?
I think it's in DC.
DC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the whole DMV area. I guess I would say, like, kind of going in line, if Matt Rife is a fan of comedy, which I believe he is, like guys like Cat Williams, probably most notorious Cat Williams, is a person that'll do his special in the middle of nowhere in Kansas City. And then his opening bit or somewhere in his show is just like 10, 15 minutes about Kansas City, and it's hilarious. And, if you haven't actually been in these spaces, which he kind of mentions in that bit, you don't have like a well-crafted joke about those spaces. And I think he wanted to kind of, is like an ode to, like, the comics that we love. And it just was a basic joke.
Yeah. But I think that's your job as a comedian, though, is to craft those jokes.
Yeah.
And to find a more creative way of making fun of something.
Yeah.
And what to his point, I feel like there are certain content creators / comedians that are infiltrating spaces rather than brightening the space.
Right.
I've seen it in podcasting. Like some of these motherfuckers that are on Barstool, it's like, who the fuck is this? And why have they been just thrusted into popularity and they talk about nothing? And yes, I mean, it's subjective, right? Some people like to hear trashy shit, but at the same time, it's like, golly, like what's that one from back in the day with the two chicks from Barstool?
Call Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy podcast. Jesus Christ. Like that type of content, it has a ceiling on it. I don't think that certain comedians, they don't have a ceiling on what they can do. So
I think the quality has a ceiling. I don't know if the range of it has a ceiling.
Well, and he's stuck in a tough spot too. A great comedian, Shane Gillis, talked about this. He released that special of himself in Austin, Texas, and I heard him on an interview say, like, I spent 13 years building that material. It came out and my name is big now. I spent 13 years building 1 hour.
Wow.
I've got to do that again now in a year and a half.
Wow.
And that's for somebody who's really dedicated to the art form of the art and the actual craft aspect of it.
Yeah.
If you got big doing crowd work and being like, what do you do for a living? It's going to be really hard to scratch that surface far enough to be able to build an hour in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing this 10 years. I've got jokes that are in tough subjects that there's a joke I spend 9 minutes setting up getting to that joke that if you were in the audience, you would have no idea that's what I'm doing. But I know just through the test of time that in order to tell that joke, for it to work for everybody in the room,
set it up.
I need 9 minutes of stuff beforehand to not only ease it, but to test that room to make sure that this is going to go okay.
Yeah.
Before I even do it. And when you've got a guy who's been elevated for doing the most, simplistic things that go viral on TikTok, you're just not going to have that. But he came from the comedy world. He's in the LA comedy scene. He's got to earn some street cred with the people. Like the executive producer of his special was Eric Griffin. He comes to town here. I've opened for him 3 or 4 times. When he came to town here, the Matt Rife got out onto the road opening for Eric Griffin like 6-7 years ago.
Wow.
And so he's ingrained in that world. He's going to have to cater to them the same way he caters to his TikTok audience, at least in his mind. So he's kind of trapped between these two worlds.
Yeah.
He's stuck.
I think he's like you said, he's in a strange place. And I don't know if he's like opened up for Chappelle or worked with him in any capacity, but I have seen some spaces where they've connected and they got pictures together and stuff like that. Oh, wow. So it seems like maybe those people see like potential more so than like right now. And I think it's his job to make good on, what other people are seeing in him. And who knows what it'll be like. I know, Chris, you were talking about a certain comedian where you said you did a show with him and you said like if he sticks with it, if he really works on his craft, he'll be good. And I don't know what the type of work that Matt Rife puts in, but if you put that, like you said, the same work that Shane Gillis puts into crafting these jokes, he'll be good. But he's in a position now to where like I don't have a great analogy for it, but he blew up before he was probably ready, and they just fast tracked everything, and this is a result of that.
Yeah, freaking! I brought it up earlier before the pod, so I'll speak on it. Was it Schaub? What's his name?
Brian Schaub.
Is it Brian Schaub?
Brendan Schaub.
Brendan Schaub.
Oh, we butchered that. We butchered that.
Brendan Schaub. Not
Braden Shub.
Yeah. Well, you were mentioning something about setting up the joke.
Yep.
Right, and you have to make sure that you kind of got the pulse of the room before you tell the joke.
Yeah.
So I was wondering how you told your black jokes. That's what I was trying to figure out. So that's why black people are always late.
Yeah.
Well, I've got the benefit of being.
That's how what actually happens is it takes 9 minutes to set up. but by minute 9, that's when they're walking in. So that's when the punchline lands.
They saw me go on stage, and at minute 9, I go, all right, they're gone, right? Okay, all right.
Oh man!
But I've got the benefit of being anonymous. That's the other part that's so hard to be a Matt Rife, is that he's got a giant audience that adores him.
Right.
That he could go to a theater and read the phone book, and 3,000 ladies are going to be like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you do a Netflix special, he's been out touring for 4 months, and in his world, he's crushing every night. He has it's got to be impossible to know what the X's and O's of your stuff is at that point, because you have no real frame of reference until it comes out on Netflix, and people who are not your audience see it and digest it, and they go, there is no deep end of this pool. And that may have been the first time that he's heard that this is all low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, 100%.
He has to he would have to open up for one of those guys, one of the guys that we deem as like the top comedians, and see, because what he like you said, when he crafted this audience based off of like the TikTok followers and him taking pictures with his shirt off, and the new smile and all that, it's kind of like Eddie always talks about. He says, I don't want to do shows where I invite all of my family, because
100%.
I know that when I go up on stage, they're pretty much going to laugh at everything. So same with him. Like, he just has his, people showing up. He hasn't, and I don't know what his buildup looks like, but I would imagine there was a lot of spaces where he went, and like you said, Chris, he was just crushing it because they knew that Matt Rife was going to be there. And
there's an obsession with with vanity, right? And I feel like it's worked its way into everything, whether it's just social media, whatever the case. And when this guy got that work done to his face, like I mentioned, he got to learn how it felt to be an attractive woman, or a woman that got breast implants or BBL. He is experiencing that now, because these women are literally in the audience, like yelling like "fuck me" at a comedy show.
Yeah,
like there's no place for that. That's wild. Like the closest thing, not even the closest thing. I would have said Andrew Dice Clay, but no, because Andrew was just wild back in the 90s. I don't even remember Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't even know if there's anything comparable to Matt Rife, because he's a guy that he's very charismatic. He plays into the audience with the women. Like, he cracks like sexual jokes and shit, and they go for it. And I even mentioned last week, Shamar Morris? Shamar Moore got up on stage and got up there and told Matt Rife, like, we at the show because my wife, man, she want to fuck Matt Rife. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody's like clapping and laughing. And I was like, I just don't understand why, like, this is not, to me, this doesn't seem like a comedy show.
People would probably make connections between Matt Rife and Dane Cook during the MySpace days.
I was thinking about Dane Cook. Yeah,
but,
that's the person that I thought he related to.
But when Dane Cook exploded, he annihilated rooms with New York comedians of the 90s and early 2000s. So his stuff was more simplistic when he got to the arenas and things like that out of necessity, but he also dug deep on a lot of that stuff. You're right to say that this is kind of this is kind of unprecedented. And he would do 15 to 20 minute bits about the death of his parents and weave things in and out of that. And he had bits about actual subject. He'd talk about crying for 8 minutes, and it would be a Dane Cookie thing, but he was digging deep under the surface there, and he was an actual 15 whatever year established New York and LA crushing comedian back when it wasn't like this. But now, like you said, people yelling out during comedy shows, but that's all they see. They turn on TikTok and they see someone in the crowd saying, I'm an accountant. And then they see somebody saying, oh, we're not together. We're just friends. And it becomes this whole, and they go, oh, that's what it is. And so it's kind of two-phased. For one, as a matter of fact, Shane Gillis came to town here a month or two ago. And I heard the show was pretty brutal because people wouldn't stop yelling out in the crowd. They would just yell things because that's what people do now. But then the other thing is,
they don't know.
You'll see a lot of these comics on TikTok that they'll have they'll have 3, 4, 5, 600,000 followers, and you think like, when they come to my city, I'm going to go see this because it's going to be incredible because they do all this crowd work and it's hilarious. And then you go to the show, and it's an hour and 10 minutes of this guy just going around the room being like, all right, how about you? What's your name? What do you do for a living? And 25 minutes into the show, you look around and you go, oh man, this sucks. Most of these are duds.
Yeah.
There's been only 3 or 4 moments of the night that were actually funny, but then you checked his TikTok the following Monday, and he's got those 3 clips, and he gets another 20,000 followers because it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think that you have to have enough integrity to not chase the bag. Meaning, like, if you're going to be thrusted into a situation and you're not ready for it, I think it could do more damage to your career than anything long term. Because short term, you're going to get paid, but you're fucking a bunch of people. You're just hijacking a bunch of money because you're not ready. Like, no slight to Brendan Schaub, but that first special, not good. That Gringo Poppy, not good. I just considered it lazy. That's my personal opinion. I know that it takes time and it takes work to be funny and to actually work jokes out. I just felt it was lazy. I've listened to comedians that I didn't find that funny, but I still appreciated them because I could tell that they did the work.
Well, I've heard him in interviews say that I shouldn't have done that special. It was too soon. I've heard him say that, and we were talking about that before the Keith. That's what we were talking about before the show. Is that I think it was 5-6 years ago, he came to town and I opened for him, and we're talking in the green room. Real nice guy. And he went up on stage, and he was a 2 or 3 year comic trying to headline in front of 325 people for 45 minutes, and it just they liked it, but it just X's and O's wise wasn't there. And then he was wrapping up, and I was hosting, so I came on stage to exchange with him, and it was a funny moment because he leaned down. Like I said, he was a real nice guy. He leaned down and he was like, he said, "Hey, do you think it'd be okay if do you mind if I do a couple extra minutes for a Q&A?" And I'm looking up. By the way, he's huge. I'm looking up at him. I'm going, like, what if I said no?
Yeah.
What would I was like, look, man, it's your room. Go back and do it. And he turned around and he went to go do the Q&A. And when I saw how his demeanor changed, he was so much more comfortable. He owned the room because he's a podcaster. He's used to being a public personality. He did this Q&A and he knocked it out of the park. And I said to people in the back of the room, if he shifts that to the stand-up, in a couple years, he could be really solid. But back to the Matt Rife thing, I don't know if he's ever gotten that chance, or if every time he goes somewhere, he's got a room of 600 people that just love whatever he's going to say. And how do you grow in that case? How would he even know he's not growing?
Yeah, I just don't think you should be in a position where you're almost, I don't want to say you're coercing people into coming to see your show, but at the same time, just you being popular on certain platforms, that doesn't translate into comedy. Look at all these, and I don't want to, no slight to Matt, but there's been a lot of other comedians that were popular on Instagram that do sketch comedy, and they try to do stand-up, and it was absolutely terrible. Like, all the reviews are like, this is not funny. There are people that, Drewski, I guess he had some show, they were like, I don't know what this is about. Like, what is this about?
Yeah. He's not doing stand-up, though.
Well, he was attempting to do it earlier.
Yeah.
Him and Rainy.
But his show that they were talking about it was like just his sketch stuff on tour.
Yeah.
But I seen him at the J. Cole show. He opened up for J. Cole.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think to this point he's done like traditional stand up. What he did at the show was like, it was like energy. He like come out and he play music and he see people dancing and he pause the music and he'd point out a person in the audience that was kind of freak dancing, and he would make fun of them, and then he'd play another song, and it was just like, it wasn't like, set up, punchline, set up punchline. It wasn't like that.
I slept on Drewski. I didn't know much about him at all until a few months ago. What he does, he is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And one more note on the Matt Rife thing is I've been chastising audiences since this controversy, and I've been saying, look, if you really wanted a very funny, semi-attractive comedian. I've been here for years. I've been here. If you wanted an ugly, cute, but very funny comedian, I've been here for years. You didn't want that. You wanted a semi-funny, very cute comedian, and that's your fault. Buyer beware.
You know what's crazy too, and I don't know how many people would admit this. I think that the more conventionally attractive a person is, we expect less from them. So
that's absolutely true.
Yeah, so it'd be like a hot chick, and she's like, "Oh, I read that book." We're like, "You can read?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's a person that's doing stand up, they might be very attractive and then mildly funny. We tend to amplify that because there's guys like Shane Gillis or Joey Diaz or Ron White, and all these guys are fucking hilarious because the art comes first. But women are not going to the shows and having the same expectations as a Matt Rife. They're just not.
That's very true. I had a doctor walk in to do a checkup, and he was attractive. And I was like, "You get out of this room right now. You get out right now because you didn't have to earn it the way the rest of your class had to earn it."
That's hilarious.
Do you think that it goes the other way? Has there ever been like a very attractive female comedian that has just kind of got a pass just because she was attractive?
There's some out there.
It's so tough because I don't really know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's because there's certain segments of audiences that are so uncatered to by the traditional, especially in stand-up business, that when Eliza Schlesinger comes along, that the audience that comes for her goes, "Oh man, no one has been speaking to us yet." I don't know if it's that, but I mean, I can't. I just can't speak to it. I don't know what's going on there, but certainly in the early to mid 2000s, like Amy Schumer got huge. She was like a 4-year comic, but also in the late 90s, Nick Swartzen, same thing. He was a 2 or 3 year comic and got huge, being a little cute, naive lad too. I don't know. It's tough to figure out for me what's going on there.
Yeah, there's some female comedians that they're funny at moments and they work their jokes out, but some of them are kind of like dry, but they happen to be pretty attractive a little bit. Like Nikki Glazer is one of them. I think Nikki Glazer has some moments where she's fucking hilarious, and then other times it's just very dry. You know what I mean?
Is that who's that? Is that the Brett Favre girl?
Who?
The
I know who you're talking about. Rachel Sturger.
Oh yeah. That's okay.
Oh yeah,
I'm
Nikki
mixing
Glazer
them
is
up.
the tall white chick.
Yeah, but that girl, she does stand up. The one that Brett Favre was sending the nude pictures to or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
She's been out here to Bakersfield a couple times. I think.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That's crazy. Yeah, and my thing is, it's not to. All I know is in certain spaces there may be less attractive female stand-up comedians that probably didn't get that look. Possibly.
Well, yeah, but same thing is you probably wouldn't want that audience anyway. Like my instinct is to say if you gave Matt Rife Kathleen Madigan's act, he would be the biggest comedian in the world. But most likely the audience that goes to see Matt Rife they don't want that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want that. Like if you gave Matt Rife Dave Chappelle's act, I don't think they would want I don't think they would want a 9-minute bit that ties in Anthony Bourdain to the strife and struggle of the typical middle class man.
Do you think, going back to your Dane Cook, because I thought Dane, especially growing up when I was very young, I was like, this guy's hilarious. Like, you know, just objectively.
Yeah.
But do you think that it's possible that Matt Rife is doing like you said, a version of that where I'm curating these jokes for, you know, the people that I know will laugh at this, but maybe when he goes to the open mics, he's like digging a little deeper?
I think if he was doing that, we would have seen it on this Netflix special, because that's how he got himself in trouble. Is I'm not going to cater to my audience on this one.
Yeah,
I'm going to show you all.
Yeah,
what he dropped. I don't know if I fast forwarded to the end of it. He dropped the microphone at the end of this.
Oh dang!
Special. He ended it by saying, "But what do I know? I'm just a guy that does crowd work, right?" And he dropped the microphone at the end of it. So this was like in his mind, his coming out party of, his Roy Jones, y'all must have forgot. Like it's his I do this thing, and it just wasn't there. So I would be surprised if he's digging deeper, well, especially in the LA circuit too. Not to be too biased against it, but I lived there for a year and change, and one of the reasons I left it is because I didn't want it to change. I didn't want it to change me and push me into doing the tricks and the more shallow material and have 10 minutes on Bagel Bites and Uber and Tinder and all that.
Bagel Bites?
Oh yeah. I mean, this was a couple of years ago, but I would go down to LA, and if 15 comedians got up in a given show or open mic, 12 of them had a microwavable food joke, like Bagel Bites,
God.
Pizza Bites.
It's so funny that you're saying this, because I remember there was a time when we were at the Rocket Shop, and it's like a bunch of white guys, a couple of Mexican guys, and then like 3 black guys in
That
there.
should have been the name of the show. Bunch of white guys, Thursdays at 7.
But there was everybody like acknowledged us in some capacity, whether it was the way we looked or like sexual jokes or all these different things. And then like I remember you going up there and saying like, okay guys, we get it, like enough of that. So it's funny that you kind of have like that same perspective on LA comedy.
You're right. Well, and that's the funny thing is this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Everybody had the Bagel Bite, Uber, Tinder jokes in Los Angeles because that was their life and that was in vogue. And then what's happened in the last 3 years is that social commentary has become in vogue. The thing to do is to have a hot take on social and political issues.
My God.
The comedians down there, the lazy comedians, have switched from that. They've gone into social commentary, but they don't do it from a depth perspective. They're telling social commentary jokes like they are pizza bite jokes. And so it's like this Rife domestic, like that's a Bagel Bite joke.
Yeah.
He just happens to be talking about a waitress being slapped.
Yeah, it's like a stool fucking situation.
It's don't dive in that end of the pool. It's shallow.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. It also too, like what you're kind of saying also as well, is people, they'll have social commentary, but it'll be like very liberal or conservative biased.
Yes,
and it's not even unpackaged as a joke. It's just like an opinion.
Yeah,
and they got people clapping in the like. It's like, dude, that's not what comedy is about. It's supposed to be objective. It's not a space for liberals and conservatives. It's just a space for comedy.
Right.
Like you have to escape that political correctness and be able to tell a joke and make people laugh. Yeah. Like if I don't give a fuck if I'm in a room full of people who are liberal or conservative, they should all laugh at the joke. That's how you determine if a joke is worth keeping.
Well, that's part of the craft too, is to help the audience get out of their own way on that.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do. I've got a bit that I do right now that when I start it, sometimes depending on how the night goes, I have to tell the audience and say, hey, I want you to trust me. Stick with me because I'm gonna start telling this joke, and about halfway through, a portion of you are going to love it, and some of you might hate it. But just so you know, in 3 minutes, that will completely change. And that takes work from our end. And if you're not doing that, like you said, you should stay out of that. One of my favorite things to see is sometimes a comedian will come from the coast or LA, one of those areas that you can get a round of applause just for saying something progressive.
Yeah.
And here we've got it leans right, but it's kind of spread out and mixed. We've got some diversity of thought in town here, so you can fall either way and get a laugh, but you've got to do your work. And someone will come up here and they'll just do the round of applause thing, and they haven't researched the town. Yeah. And they see the crowd just kind of stare back at them, and you see that gulp come into their throat. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember I guess it was considered open mic. It was years ago. And I had a joke, and it was just a joke about like thick women, but it wasn't like disparaging, right? But it was a joke about like thick women. Mm-hmm. And then the next comedian that came up, you could tell she took offense to the joke. Remember?
I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't? When she got up there, she's like, "Yeah, I'm a big bitch, but you know what?" And it wasn't even a joke. It was just her taking offense to it. Mm-hmm. And then like her friends that were like clapping. And I'm like, this is You're just grandstanding at this point. You're not even trying to be funny. Like you're trying to make a statement. Like get off the fucking stage.
Yeah. I never asked you, Chris.
Get off the stage before you break it. No, go ahead.
Chris, what is your writing process like? Like, do you have dedicated time or?
It's not as good as it used to be. I used to have dedicated time. I would take a couple hours, probably 1 or 2 nights a week, and just sit down in a notebook and work. Now, I mean, if I'm being friendly to myself, I could say by doing it long enough, I can go up in free form a little bit more. But the truth is, I'm just being more lazy these days and not right.
Yeah.
I like to do it that way though, because if I'm at least what I've found in my process is I have to be doing 2 things. I have to be writing at least a couple nights a week, whether it's either in free form or really trying to work on bits or work on old stuff. And I have to be reading a lot. And when I do those 2 things, every now and then something will just snap into my head.
Yeah.
And it's usually like 80% done when it comes in. The last really great bit that I got, I was in the back of the comedy club and it plunked into my brain, 95% done, and I ran out of the room and drove home and wrote it into my notebook in the parking lot outside of my place. And it was,
that's magic,
I made 2 tweaks to it and it was done. But for whatever reason, for me, those things don't come unless I'm doing the other 2 things, which is just writing garbage, drudge, whining about myself and my life, and tearing out the page and throw it in a notebook once a day. And then reading, 20 pages of something.
Now, did you get lazy or did you just get better?
Probably both.
We can't let him off the hook because we always can make time for the craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is sometimes that craft changes when you get better.
Right.
So you might think you're being lazy, but you're just processing it faster, or you process it differently because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
You do something for 9 years, it may start off where you got to babysit yourself and you're writing,
right.
but sometimes it could pop up. You might be at the grocery store. Right. You're like, oh fuck, let me write this down. So
it's reps though. But I don't think Kobe Bryant in year 8 or whatever was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just take 50 shots today.
But if Kobe was a comedian, that would be bad. He just a maniacal
Mamba, the other comics in the green room.
I'm not leaving this open mic.
The Mamba mentality.
Someone has a bad set. He goes, "Take my shoes off."
Like, what the fuck?
It's funny.
This guy won't give nobody else fucking mic time.
Yeah.
But I'm actually trying to coach myself to get rid of that laziness, because there's been a couple of times in the past few months that, like, middle of the night, I wake up and ideas in my head and I go, man, that's such a rich idea. There's no way I'll forget it overnight.
You got to write that shit down
in the
immediately.
morning. And so I don't go walk to the notepad, and I wake up the next morning
it's gone.
and it is gone.
And you can't do that, bro. You're 37. We lose shit too quick in our late 30s, bro. You ever had a great idea, and you're like either going to look it up on Google or you're going to do something, and then it just fucking disappears.
All the time.
It's like Thanos fucking snapped, and then all the shit that you had in your brain's gone.
All the time.
But when it pops back up, it's at an inconvenient time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be in the middle of sex and you're like, oh, fuck, Tostitos chips. That's what the joke was about. I can't stop right now. I'm not gonna remember it.
I know I haven't had because I don't go up as much as you do, Chris, but I know like writing, like screenwriting, there's been moments, probably the last time this happened, like, was when I was in school, like my senior year. It was like a 2-week window, like week and a half window, where I was working on my senior project, I guess you would call it. And I was writing every day. It's like a mockumentary about like this band from like the 70s. And, I'm writing the music, I'm writing the screenplay, I'm directing, and we're doing all of these things. And I'm like, I'm so in it. You know what I mean? And I could remember once where I was like dreaming about the movie. And then I like woke up and I found how like I found the ending to the movie. So I texted my friend immediately. It was like 4 a.m. and he was up to doing God knows what, but he responded, and it was just like, but like it happens, like you said, when it's like a 360 and you're in it, like you're writing, you're going up consistently, and you're like you say, you're reading and you're learning. It's like you're almost on autopilot when it comes to like shooting out the ideas.
Yeah, open vessel. And you're out of your own way. There's nothing harder than when I take 2 weeks off from putting out skits or putting out like doing material. That first idea, once you're in that slump of like, that's not worth putting out.
Yeah.
But once you're just kind of off and rolling, the momentum. There's nothing I underestimated more as a young man than momentum.
Man,
that I've been trying to capture ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that you almost have to like, at least for me, I have to like relearn it. Like, what is it? Like, how do you set up? Like, for example, I haven't been on stage in a minute, but in the short film, I had reached out to you about it. There was it's like a serial killer who was like a former comedian. And I had to like really think about like, cause he's like telling jokes. It's an interview, but he's telling jokes in the interview. And I had to really think about like, how do you tell a joke again? You know? So it took me a minute and I just kind of like crafted some stuff, but yeah, it is like that momentum is, you know, it's definitely a thing.
Damn, to be a fucking serial killer comedian?
Yeah, he's a former comedian. Turned
Bet that
serial
got killed on stage.
Hey.
That's the cheap one. Gotta get a cheap one off.
It's called Dying Laughing. So
Great premise, because comedy's so in vogue right now, and everybody loves serial killer. I mean, that's too giant.
Women
that's
love
the idea.
serial killer shit.
That's literally
I don't understand
it. The theme of the movie is about like, it's about society, but if from a macro sense, but you know, when you kind of dwindle it down, it's really about women and their love of serial killers.
Well, to tie it back together, maybe it's just that everyone really appreciates momentum.
Yeah.
There's no higher level momentum than a serial killer.
Yeah.
Talk about keeping a streak going. Come on.
Man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will they, won't they continue? I mean, once you rack up 32 of them,
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to see a streak end? Nobody.
Yeah.
Man. Fucking three-peat.
It's true.
90s Bulls.
Yeah, and they usually take some time off to go play for the Birmingham Barons, and then they're right back out to slashing again.
Yeah, they move city or states or something like that and take a little break. That's literally how it happens. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, they all moved states and then they just started again.
Wasn't it incredible the low threshold to commit crimes in the 70s or 80s? And all those stories are like, yeah, we had them on 4 different police blotters, but Seattle never spoke to Portland, so he just killed 19 more people.
Fucking nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was nuts. The fucking Night Stalker is one of them. That was nuts. That was in the 80s in L.A. But there was another one. There was a documentary. I can't remember what it was called. I believe it was on Netflix. There was a dude that literally fucked the whole family.
Gosh,
he basically, he was like a neighbor or something.
I was going to tell an inside joke. It almost slipped out, but I'm glad I didn't. I'll tell you later.
Do you two know a serial killer?
Fuck
no, it wasn't about a serial killer. It was about a person I slept with, like everybody in the family.
Oh, man. This fucking dude, basically, he was like a neighbor or something. And he started off with the mom, and he got her to sleep with him. Then he got the dad to do sexual stuff with him. Then he got the fucking brother, and then the sister. He took the daughter and ran off with her.
And he was a killer, or just a?
He was just a fucking super coercer.
A super coercer.
It was a whole documentary. This dude ran off with it. If I find it, I'll bring it up on the pod. Wow. But fuck, it was wild.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Oh, it was really popular too. It was probably about like 2019 it came out.
Wow, pre-internet gullibility. Was, do you remember? So we're same generation. Do you remember? Because the internet didn't really come on until we were formative years.
Yeah.
Do you remember being lied to as a kid and then not figuring that, like, it just went in the back of your brain? You never revisited that thought until you were like 33 years old. And then you're like, wait a minute, that's the dumbest thought I have in my brain. But it was just pre-Google, and I had no idea. It just sat there. There were times I got lied to when I was 12, 13, 14 years old that the thought never came up again until I was 29. I was like, oh, yeah.
I think the fucked up thing about us growing up, because I'm 1 year older than you, but what's weird...
Hell yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm 1 year your senior.
Yeah.
But what's fucked up is we had to trust adults, and a lot of adults didn't know shit.
No clue.
They had no clue what they were doing.
Making it up.
See, at least we have Google. They just grew up on trial and error.
Yeah.
Like they would just try. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, I cut myself. Oh, wait, I stabbed myself. It's like, motherfucker, that didn't work. That's why.
That's what I'm saying.
And you're telling me that it works.
Especially it was a lot, like the home remedies. Just certain rules, certain laws and stuff like that. You'll hear.
Don't do your face like that. It'll get stuck like that. It's like that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
It's like you guys.
Like I grew up in Northeast Pennsylvania. My dad owned a couple motorcycles. He used to hang out with a couple motorcycle gang people. It was called the Warlocks and all that. So
wow,
it was whatever. So I come out here to work, and I work with a lot of Texas folks. And one of my buddies, after a long day, he goes, "Man, I feel like I've been rode hard and put away wet." And I said, "Yeah, like a Harley Davidson." And he went, "No, like a horse." What are you talking about?
Yeah.
My dad used to say that it makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. If you wash your Harley, you dry it.
What's crazy too is like when we was little kids, like we used to call people douchebags, and we didn't even know what the fuck a douchebag was. Like a douchebag is literally something for feminine hygiene.
Well, I feel like it's crossed the threshold to change Q-tip style, where it is what we misunderstand it as now. It's become the misnomer.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
I remember seeing under the sink or whatever in the bathroom, like the little
clear.
Yeah, and then it had the infographic
bottle.
on it with the vagina. I was like, yo, that's what a vagina looks like.
You know what's crazy? What I used to love about being in public school is when you get the book and the table of contents, somebody put like page 40 is titties on there. And then you go to page 40, it'd be some like big African titties. You're like, damn.
They be hanging way low. Yeah.
Or it'd be like Native Americans with their titties out. And you'd be like, dang. And because you a kid, you ain't had no sex. You'd be like, oh, this is crazy. That you showing your friends.
Yeah.
That shit.
I was definitely doing that. Like in the public library, I would go to like the art section because like when you're learning to draw the human figure or whatever, you want to draw them naked just so the clothes are not, you're learning like muscle structure and stuff like that. But yeah, I would definitely go in there and it would be like some big titty girl like sitting like this. I'd be like, yeah.
It get to the point like all you kids would walk in and the librarian would be like, third row. Go ahead.
She just letting you know.
Let me guess, you're a young artist. Okay.
It was crazy. Up the street is Bill Library, and years ago, we're talking 2004. We used to, because we didn't even have a computer at the house, so we would go there for internet access, right?
Yeah.
We go over there to use the internet, and what do you have? 30 minutes or an hour?
Yeah, you get like an hour.
So you get an hour to look stuff up or print papers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it'd be people in that fucking place watching porn.
Oh no.
Watching porn at a public library.
Oh
yeah.
No.
I would be in there printing Dragon Ball Z pictures, and then somebody next to me is just like somebody getting their back blown out.
Somebody next to you printing Dragon Ball D.
So
seeing this old black man watching porn, I'm like, dog, how the fuck do you even know to search this shit?
I worked at Verizon Wireless in 2009, 2010. This is pre-iPhone, okay?
Oh,
so I saw some wild
no,
stuff.
the iPhone was out, dog. It was
not at Verizon.
Oh, okay,
they were Droid only until like 2011 or something.
Okay, got you.
And I'd see crazy stuff all the time. Like I'd see spouses come in and catch the other one cheating because they'd come in. Like there was this one time this woman came in and she's like, there's a mistake. You charged me $400 for my cell phone bill. This is ridiculous. And she was the main account holder. So I was like, look, I can print your bill out for it. And the husband's behind her like, oh no, like no. I was like, I'm sorry, I have to print it out.
Yeah.
And I printed off this encyclopedia of calls and texts that he was making.
Text?
And I handed it because this is in the Anytime Minutes days.
Oh.
I handed it to her and she just looked at him and he sprinted out of
serious?
I'd see that all the time. But one time this dude came in and he had a flip phone. And he said, I'd like you to transfer my contacts and photos from this phone to this phone. And old school, didn't have the iPhone stuff. We would connect it to a machine. You'd put one here and one here, open them up, and it would pop up each photo, and you'd see it transfer over. He had, I mean, like 2,000 photos of porn.
Damn.
And I mean, he opened it up. His background was like a photoshopped image of Britney Spears. It was like, I mean, dreadful. And there's so many photos. I was back there for like 40 minutes transferring these things over. I'm like, I feel like my hands are gonna melt when I hand these things back to him, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna wash these forever.
Yeah.
He leaves, and I just like, I feel like I need a shower, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm telling the story. And as I'm telling the story, a buddy walks up and says, "Hey, Chris, you're needed out in the front." And I walk out to the front, and it's the guy.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm like, dude, what do you want? You just want to. And he looks at he hands the phones back out to me, and he goes, "Some of my pictures didn't transfer."
Oh my God. So he hands you this fucking
No shame.
He hands you this fucking cum drenched phone.
Oh,
You gotta golly. Oh my God.
he's so particular. He probably had files and categories and all kinds of
So I
stuff.
thought, like, how would he even know what's missing? There was so many, like, and just the nerve to go like, there's actually a few.
That is crazy.
And this is a non-smartphone. It's flip phones?
This is flip phone screen. I mean, screen the size.
Oh my God.
Screen the size of $50.
That dude is somewhere right now with that same.
He's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah, he probably is.
No doubt.
He probably died from masturbation.
He's probably on a Netflix serial killer documentary. He's probably that guy.
God damn. Oh my
funny.
God.
It is 9 o'clock. So just,
Oh, yeah.
I'm so
Sorry,
you got to
man.
get out of here.
I made it through one topic.
Yeah, man.
I gotta come back on.
Yeah,
I gotta come back
man.
on.
Yeah. I thought you was 9:30, but you got to roll now.
I'll roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, next time.
We only got so much time. Chris Flail here. He has to go home and use his douchebag.
Always a pleasure, man.
We appreciate you, man.
See you guys soon. Thank you.
Man,
All right,
most
don't
definitely.
forget, is that your jacket?
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, don't leave your clothes here, bro.
It's like it's the ex-girlfriend move. I leave it here.
All right, boss man.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man.
All right.
There you go.
You want to like kind of reorganize so we
Shout out to Chris Flail, man.
so we not sitting so far away.
Oh no, just move in a little bit. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you're in the middle. It just kind of like it's really.
and it is what it is, man. We just gonna rock it out.
All right, let's do it.
People on YouTube, they ain't really popping up like that right now anyway. You know,
Yeah.
if it's awkward, then it's just gonna be awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rock with us.
Yeah.
All right, we can switch gears. Switching
Shout out to
gears.
Chris, man.
Yeah, shout out to Chris, man. I think pretty much that's not all we needed, but we talked about comedy and nuances of it for the duration of time he was here.
Yeah, he'll be back for sure.
Be back for sure. All right, switching gears. Ari Lennox. Recently, Ari Lennox was hit with a bottle of water on stage, and she was not having it. Okay. Ari Lennox goes off after concert goer throws bottle on stage. I don't play that, end quote. Ari Lennox refuses to be the next victim of a dangerous concert trend that has seen singers being hit by random objects on stage. On Wednesday night, singer was opening for Rod Wave at the Forum in Inglewood, California, when a bottle hurled at the stage narrowly missed her. Lennox, who had begun singing the opening notes of her song, abruptly stopped to investigate, whirling around to address the section of the crowd. End quote. Bitch, don't fucking play with me. Stop that shit. I'll fuck you up. She said, according to fan recording circulating on social media. Who did it? Who the fuck did it? I don't play that shit. I'm a real ass bitch. And I will fuck your shit all the way up. She added, don't you ever disrespect a beautiful black woman on the fucking stage like that. What I took from Ari Lennox is I really think she would have fucked that person up. I really think. And the thing about her though is how she switched. Like, she went from like, bitch, who threw that? That was the most hilarious thing. Yeah, but we have to stop attending shows and doing this to people. I don't understand it. I don't understand the psychology behind people who think they can, just because they paid for something, that they can, because that's assault.
Yeah.
If she got hit with it, we're talking she can go to jail for that. Mm-hmm. You know, if you spit on somebody, that's assault. Mm-hmm. But if you hit somebody with a bottle, that is legitimately assault.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get why she does that. Well, we have to stop. And there's been many other artists that, like, got mad. Prince, they said Prince is about to beat somebody's ass. Like, when we think about Prince, we think of a guy that, like a ladies' man, little small, light-skinned dude. But they said Prince, somebody said Prince had hands, too.
I can't imagine Prince.
Can you imagine Prince beating you up?
That'd be crazy.
He just sock you in the head like, I want to be your lover. Punching your shit out. Purple rain, purple rain. This nigga just kicked me with high heels. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, remember Prince changed his name to like a symbol.
Yeah, a symbol. He's the only
artist formerly known as Prince. Like
he was the first trans artist. He was just a symbol. He's the first non-binary fucking artist ever. He was a symbol. Michael Jackson had went off on somebody before, all kind of shit. They also said that Michael Jackson's voice that we heard was fake.
Yeah,
I seen a little interview where they was like, yeah, and he said, man, I couldn't wait for the motherfuckers to leave.
Did you see there was a video? It was some guy, he made a TikTok video. He was like, man, there hasn't been many audio, like saved audio of Michael Jackson's, like his deeper, I guess called his deeper register. Mm-hmm. But they were saying that the one place where it's like still, like where you can still find it, it was a video game. He was a special player in a boxing, like it was like Ready to Rumble or something like some boxing game where it wasn't like it was like I'm gonna get you. It was like a deeper voice.
Yeah.
Did you see that video?
I didn't see it.
No. If I find it again, I'll send it to you. But yeah, it was his normal his adult register.
That nigga Michael Jackson was like hee.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Come on. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. You're like, this is not Michael Jackson. What the fuck is going on?
This nigga sound like Barry White.
Man. Yeah. Who was the other one I seen here that went off? But no, to make a long story short, also, after she was almost hit with a bottle, the next show she did was in Oakland. She's like, what's up, Oakland? How you doing? And she came out with a fucking helmet on, which is hilarious. Yeah. It was like a hockey helmet. Yeah. And she said, hey, what's up, Oakland? How y'all doing? Y'all ain't gonna be throwing shit at me, right? And then everybody started busting up laughing.
Yeah.
I've heard Ari Lennox in interviews. She just seems like a wholesome person.
Yeah, she seems like very sweet. Nice
very
person.
sweet. She's just somebody I would really love to talk to one day. Mm-hmm. Her and Nia Long for sure. Nia Long just seems like a beautiful person. Like she's attractive, but I'm talking about like as a human being, she just seems like she's like a very, just a very awesome soul to be around. Yeah, because I've seen her Breakfast Club interviews, and Nia Long is just a decent conversation.
Yeah, that's one thing that I kind of appreciate being a filmmaker is that you get to kind of connect with people, and it's usually for like a moment. Like it's sometimes you build like lifelong friendships, but you just get to connect with people that you would never run into. Like, and there's no other way, shape, or form. Like sometimes there'll be somebody that'll audition for a movie or something that I'm doing, and like they'll do the audition and they may not get the role, but afterwards we're just kind of talking about like different things that we're interested in, and it's just like a moment in time where you kind of, like you say, you kind of get a glimpse of like who some of these people are, and it's pretty dope. So
100%. Yeah, man. Should we mention what we're doing, or you want to talk about that later?
We can talk about it right now.
Okay. For those that may not know, or nobody knows actually, we're going to be doing a live podcast.
Yes.
For the first time, we're going to be outside. So we'll be doing a live podcast at Room 82, 7 p.m., December 16th. Okay. For those that make it to this area of the podcast, yes. We'll be doing it, man. We want you guys to be there. We definitely want to see a lot of our listeners, especially want to get some women involved, so they can share their opinion. Because we looked at some of the analytics. We have some women, but we don't have a whole bunch. So we definitely want to get them involved too.
That's 1912 Chester Avenue in Bakersfield, California.
Yep.
So if you're in New York, hop on a plane.
Yeah, if you hop on a plane, we'll definitely you definitely get some free merch for sure.
Yeah, that's all we can do for you.
No, if you come out here, I'll buy you some. I'll pay for a dinner.
That's right.
If you come out here, I will take you out and pay for dinner.
Okay.
Especially if it's a few people.
Yeah.
I'll be like, we'll take y'all out.
That'll be smooth.
That'll be smooth, man.
Or you could like carpool with the homies,
If somebody came out here to see us, I would trip out.
Yeah.
I'd be like, wow, this person came across to see us.
Yeah.
That's just
Across
love.
the country.
Yeah, that's just love right there, man.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of people that love us, man. I think that at this point, we've been doing this shit every week for the past over 5.5 years.
We had a crazy statistic on the Spotify. Did you watch the Spotify rap?
I did, but I didn't really catch all the analytics.
You got to look at it, man.
What happened?
It's it was one statistic where we had an episode that was in like the top 25% of the world.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I think it was the Color Deaf.
Oh yeah,
episode. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
it said something along the lines of this episode was watched more than like I forget how they described it, but basically it was in the top 25% of all podcasts. Like so it's crazy, but
Yeah.
and that episode has I don't remember the number. It might be like 300 or something.
Yeah.
But we had the conversation just personally between us when Charlemagne had mentioned, you're in the top 1% if you only have, what was it, like 2,000?
Oh, it's 1,800.
1,800, monthly viewers on your podcast. So it's crazy to think that we can't really compare like our stuff to like music because music is a 3-minute, song or whatever.
Not at all.
For us to have like 300 listeners, we're like doing much better than a lot of people.
100%. And I think that what you have to do as a podcaster or as a content creator in general is you have to stop taking the largest examples of numbers and comparing it to you. Those numbers are like, I want to say anomaly, but they're like one of a kind, like the Theo Vons and the Brilliant Idiots and Joe Budden. Those are like the top 1%.
Yeah.
Like, stop comparing your numbers to those people. You got to look at, I don't know how many podcasts exist, but if you're a person getting over 100 something listens per podcast, that's not normal. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't think people understand that. Mm-hmm. So when they look at it like, man, it's probably somebody in the world like, man, we only get 400 listens every week. Or no, we only get 400 listens a podcast. You'd be like, dude, that's like, I don't even know what percentage that is, but it's high.
Yeah.
Because
pretty successful.
Podcasting is different. Like when people don't find your conversation very entertaining, they're going to tune out and you're going to see your analytics drop like significantly and stay down because you're not interesting. Mm-hmm. I think podcasts don't lie. Mm-hmm. Only the top ones do, the ones that kind of have those forced audiences and stuff, those fake ones. Mm-hmm. But beyond them, nah, man.
Yeah, you can't fake this talking.
You can't fake talking. So yeah, live podcast, December 16th, room 82, 7 p.m.
1912 Chester Avenue, Bakersfield, California.
Yes, sir. And we're going to be promoting this up until the date. Mm-hmm. Okay, so make sure you show up. Not too much to talk about the Ari Lennox thing. We can shoot from there. Mm-hmm. Switching gears. Recently, Jussie Smollett headed back to jail after conviction upheld by appeals in court crime hoax. Jussie Smollett, man. It's always the light-skinned ones. Disgraced actor Jussie Smollett may be going back to jail as soon as an appeals court upheld his convictions related to 2019 hate crime hoax on Friday. The Empire star was convicted in 2021 of 5 felony counts of disorderly conduct related to the alleged racist, homophobic attack and sentenced to 150 days behind bars. He served just 6 days of the sentence while the appeal was pending. Smollett challenged the role of the special prosecutors, the jury selection, evidence, and other aspects of the case against him. But the convictions were ultimately upheld in 2-1 opinion of the Illinois Appeal Court. The California native, who has made his big screen debut in 1992 Mighty Ducks, I didn't realize he's in that movie.
Dang.
Yeah, made headlines in 2019 when he reported Chicago police that he was the victim of a homophobic racist attack by 2 men wearing ski masks. Mm-hmm. I think I don't have empathy for the guy. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I don't have empathy for him is because there are real victims that take place in this world. Like there are legit racist attacks against people. There are legitimate assault cases and sexual assault cases. So whenever somebody comes along and they lie, fuck them. They could send them to jail. I'm not going to defend them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that when it comes to, like you said, it's a lot of people out here. It's a lot of people not getting justice. It's a lot of people that have, you know, I'm sure you've been in, or you familiar. I remember there was a situation like, with my younger brother, like he got jumped. It was like somewhere in the neighborhood. Yeah. And then we called the police and they got there in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours later, there was nothing really they can do because, you know, obviously we didn't have any like visual evidence, and, you know, they I'm sure they came to the house just to do their due diligence and then they dipped. So when you hear about these situations where somebody is like going above and beyond just to lie, I think that I would like for him to just come out and say why he did it. He needs to do one of these like prison interviews with the yellow suit on where he's kind of behind one of those little glass things and just be like, I did this because of whatever. And I think people will respect him much more than trying to like go on with this lie that like, you know, like I'm still a victim and, you know, these people are trying to bring me down, or this is the Illuminati or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it was and it's like I think he played the card that you should not ever play. Because being black or, you know, whatever it is not playing a card. Like if you happen to be black and there's a, you know, a hate crime, that should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Now there's going to be people in the world. This is how people think. There's going to be somebody in the world when a black person's attacked, and they're going to be like, sounds like it's got Jesse Smollett written all over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't need that, man. This motherfucker out here doing this. Come on, dog.
Yeah.
And what threw me off, sorry, y'all, my allergies is fucking me up. What threw me off is when he said, I'm the gay Tupac. When we first addressed it and I brought that up, I think we both were in a place where we were not trying to be like, yo, this guy's innocent, blah, blah, blah. You have to learn to be objective, especially when you're podcasting. Because if you are very conservative or liberal and it plays out, it's like, bro, you're not being objective at that point. You know, and then afterwards, he still was standing on what he said, and it was a lie.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. And it was two, instead of two white Trump supporters, it was two Nigerians.
Yeah.
The complete opposite of white dudes. You got two Nigerians. You couldn't at least get two white guys?
Yeah.
God
There was some
damn.
sexual relationship stuff going on.
Yeah, he was fucking one of the Africans too.
Yeah.
He should have just said, look, I just needed some dick. If he would have said that, we'd have been like, oh, okay. That's what you was doing? Oh.
Yeah. Now he can't even go back home to his country.
If he go to jail, he going to get plenty of dick in there.
Yeah.
He was like, my name is Butch.
I wonder how that works. Because, you know, when you see some of those things, like the gay people in jail, they don't, obviously you don't want to like be getting beat up or anything. Right. Nobody wants to get like, you know, their booty taken against their will. But it would seem like it would be a good time though.
Oh man. Oh, we gonna get canceled, man. It's a joke. No, I think if it's because you do realize there's actually gay people in jail.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's probably more like, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this.
I've seen like in the documentaries and stuff, they'd be like, they separate the people with different diseases and stuff. Have you seen that?
No, I ain't seen that. That's different.
It was so I don't know what I was watching, but it was like a section in there with like I wouldn't say there was just gay people in there, but I think it was like the people with HIV, if I'm not mistaken.
Crazy.
Yeah, but it was like a lot of like feminine guys, you know, in this one section. So
wow.
I don't know. I might be tripping, but I just remember seeing something like that. So yeah.
That's insane,
That's
man.
the thing. I seen it was one rapper from Chicago. He got outed. Cause it was like, I don't even know. The internet is so crazy. You don't even know how this footage gets released.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotta be the way that TMZ, the way that DJ Academics, the way that what's the dude named the dude that was on the Breakfast Club for a little bit, light skinned dude. It's like Hollywood Unlocked. It was named Jason Lee. Yeah. So the way those things work is, I think people be itching to tell somebody a story. Like, imagine like we sitting in here and it's Chris Flail in here, and I just had the camera rolling, and it was before the podcast, and he said something crazy. And, you know, Chris Flail is like this famous comedian on tour and stuff like that. And I think that normal people, whether they correctional officers, police officers, you know, they could be, I don't know, anybody that has access to like celebrity details. I think that they kind of get off, or they might get paid for some of this stuff. So I say that to say that there's a rapper, I don't know his name, but it was like the camera was sitting and they was in like the little community area inside of the prison cell.
And he was in there,
and it was a dude just sitting on his lap.
Oh,
and they was just chilling, like talking, and he was just like, he had him a little boo thing in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did he say afterwards?
He was like, "Nigga, I ain't gay," but it was too late.
You can't. Here's the thing. For those people that are gay, just be gay. Like, there's no need to try to hide it. Don't be like a gangbanger. Like, I ain't gay. I'm a Crip.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you just a gay gangster, brother.
Yeah.
You went there. You had relations. Then just be gay.
Yeah.
People
it's cool.
It's okay, brother.
Yeah. That's the only job in America where they'll discriminate, because you know how it says like, we won't discriminate against your gender or your race or ethnicity. Yeah. Sexual orientation and your preference and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's the only job in America that doesn't apply to, is being a gangster, because they still got the same politics as
There's some
before.
gangsters that be doing gay shit, man.
Yeah, not publicly though.
Nah,
Yeah.
it was a case. You mentioned something. It was a case out here locally.
Oh yeah.
Somebody was.
There was some wild stuff going on with the Bakersfield Crips. Bakersfield Crips going crazy.
Yeah, some Crips out here getting active with other Crips is weird, man.
Yeah.
And the thing that's crazy is that news somehow fell into my view, and I'm like, this is wild. How, like, for me to find out about what's going on with the Crips? I know the cops know about it.
Yeah, that's what we got to get a cop on the podcast, man.
I was thinking about that.
I've been, for like screenwriting purposes, and also for just like entertainment purposes, I am so interested in what the police officers know versus what they can actually arrest, lock people up for. Because you know that before any arrest is ever made, before all the information goes public, they know, like real stuff. Like, we know this dude murdered X, Y, and Z. We just don't have the evidence, the fingerprints, the video, the witnesses to back it up. So I'd be curious to know. Like,
I got two teammates that are cops. I could probably end up. I could probably go to the police station. Not saying they'll do it. Actually, I know three. I have a coach that's a police officer and two teammates. And I want to get one of them. I think I'll probably get the coach.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
It'd be like, hey, wanted to have a conversation if it's okay, just to pick your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable answering certain questions, don't answer them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, just to get somebody behind the badge and just kind of get their vantage point.
Just get their view on, on the world. Cause
it's cool to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
we got to get a trans on here too, man, a trans person.
We could do that.
Yeah, man, we got to get somebody that's trans so we could just get their perspective too.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, because my thing is this. We be having like little jokes here and there, but it's all satirical stuff. There's no real, what do you call it? There's no real maliciousness or anything towards gay or trans people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But them jokes be flying. They be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether it be black jokes, whatever the case.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know anybody from that community.
I don't know anybody either, but
yeah.
I'm not opposed to having conversations, because there could be some things, nuances that I don't know. A lot of times when you're on the outside looking in and you having these conversations and you have these strong points, sometimes you'll find out in some areas where you might be wrong about some shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's important. I think you learn a lot too just by talking to people that that are from, different spaces.
Yeah. We don't got much else to offer this part.
We can move on.
Where we at, man?
109.
109? This might be a shorter one unless you got something else.
No, that's about it.
Last one we got is the Andre 3000.
Okay.
Switching gears. Andre 3000. You guys know him from Outkast. Hush that fuzz. Everybody move to the back of the bus, right?
Yeah.
That guy, okay. In quote, being famous sucks. And I'll run the audio back for you guys to hear.
People don't want to say it. It is a great blessing. Like I'm actually blessed to be able to create in front of people and get ideas off. That's the biggest blessing out of being famous. But being famous really sucks, man. Like it's so unhuman. Like I can't remember his name, but there was this classical pianist that said it's actually unnatural and actually detrimental to a human to have that much admiration because it actually changes the way you think. It changes the way you move,
So, what you got from Andre 3000 is he mentioned being famous sucks. And here's the thing. Since we can't quantify his experience, a lot of times we invalidate people and say, ooh, feel so bad for the popular celebrity that's rich, that gets to do what he wants making music. But when you're looked at as an object, or every time people see you in public, they'll be like, hey, man, do that rap you did. And it's like, we don't even look at them as humans. Like, we look at them as objects. And imagine how that feels. Like, you can't really move in the spaces you want to move because you'll be just crowded around and things of that nature. And he also mentioned, like, no person should have that amount of admiration. Mm-hmm. And how it also can change how you view things because you getting all this attention, it can kind of skew your view of the world. Mm-hmm. So it's dangerous, man. I think if you have to be in a position where you're constantly checking yourself. And I'm so blessed to have Keith and other people in my life that, keep me, just keep me human, keep me humble. Mm-hmm. And also my life situation, I don't have a bunch of people knocking down our door to see us and things of that nature. So we don't know what that's like. But, man, I feel for Andre. He's trying to do normal shit. He was at a laundromat. Mm-hmm. They showed him, like, drying and washing his clothes. I'm like, this guy is actually
trying to be normal.
Yeah. So it's, shout out to Andre, man. And, he embarked on a new musical journey where he was using music instruments. Mm-hmm. And people were giving him a hard time saying, like, I mean, you say he said he ain't got nothing to rap about at his age. He lying. He doing this and that. It's like, bro, if the man does not want to rap, like, why are we trying to hold him to that? That's what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. Like, people create these perceptions of you and they make them real.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know Andre 3000. I know of him. I know of his music, but I don't know him as a man. Mm-hmm. I can't force how I feel about someone on them. That's just weird.
I think I seen a statistic that showed how Andre 3000's Flute album sold more than like 10 or 15 popular rappers, like more than like Lil Wayne's thing. It was more than like a couple like really known rappers. I don't remember everybody on the list, but
yeah,
it just goes to show you that, like, when you really coming from an artistic place and you do what you love, like that's kind of the result of it. You probably and it's just it's Andre 3000, so pretty much anything that he touches, it kind of turns to gold. He's just that kind of artist. But I'm not even gonna say I understand because I don't know what that feels like. But I will say that there's been like little glimpses of things that have happened to me where I'm like, this, thinking about it in terms of like Andre 3000 life. If this was magnified, how would I even deal? How would I manage?
It'd be a lot for you, man.
There's been times where, I can remember when that same film that I was talking about earlier, when Chris was here, we had a premiere, and I remember that week, there was like a small buzz around the movie because everybody in the film school, they knew that I was shooting this movie, and they knew that we had like, a lot of the guys from the school in there, and it was pretty much all the black people in the film school was
Right.
in the movie. And, there was a couple people, like, I'd be walking through the hallway, like, hey, I heard you just shot your movie. I heard it was pretty good, blah, 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 blah. And I remember, like, I finished editing it late. Like, I had a lot of work, to do in the at the end of the semester. And when I walked in, it was like pressure. Like, you know what I mean? It was a small, it's like a small theater, like, something that you might see at AMC here, like
Right.
one of those smaller theaters like that, like in the school. And I walked in, and it was like, oh dang, finally his movie is here. You know what I mean? And I was late because I didn't finish editing it on time.
Oh.
So I had to plug in my hard drive or whatever, and they just pulled it up. And I can remember the reaction was like people started laughing at the titles, like when the titles came on, like and it was just like, dang. And it was moments in there where I was like, maybe I didn't get the response that I wanted, or like they laughed at something that I didn't think was supposed to be funny, or whatever the case may be. Like, you start to feel like the pressure of the world kind of like crushing in on you. So I don't know what it feels like to be Andre 3000, but I do know that it's not. It's like your every move is calculated. We had, like we mentioned before, we have a few videos that I'm not even gonna say viral, because viral is just kind of like I don't know, it's like such a modern term, but we have a video that has 1 million views, and then another video on YouTube that has like a decent amount of views. And some of the comments on there they're not favorable,
No.
Like, it's cool when it's just like your family commenting on your
Right.
social media, like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful in that picture, or, that's a dope song or whatever. But when it starts to reach hundreds of thousands, 50,000, 60,000, 1 million, that's when the people that don't care nothing about your life start to jump in the comments.
100%.
And, they're not even responding to what the video is saying. They're responding to like the way your wall looks. They're responding to
Eddie and Keith don't have hair on their arms.
yeah, that's
Weird
something that
shit.
people have literally said. They're responding to your shirt being dingy. They're responding to like a hole in your pants and all these different things. So it's just, that's the nature of the beast. So people can say what they want to about Andre 3000 or how he carries his life, but imagine having the highest selling album of a entire genre that's been around for like 40 years. You have the highest 50 years. It was just the 50th year of hip hop. Highest selling album in the entire genre, and you want to live a normal life now. Just imagine that.
Yeah. What I will say too is this: I think there's a curiosity element behind the sales and things of that nature. To see. And he hasn't released an album in a very long time, especially a solo album.
Yeah.
So there was a curiosity of, even if there was knowing there would be wind instruments, and he kind of prefaced everything with like, hey, this is not going to be what you think it's going to be. Mm-hmm. But also rappers and just like black people in general, like, we're not monolithic. There are black people that are skateboarders and rock and roll artists and punk rock artists, and black people that that writers and directors and actors and rappers, and like, people have to understand like and it's mainly, I'm sorry, but it's mainly black people doing this shit. A lot of the stuff that's being pushed on Andre 3000, where it's like, oh, he could have came out with a rap album. It's just a lot of black people doing it. And you have to realize, like, bro, we're not all the same. Mm-hmm. And yes, just because somebody was mad saying just because Nas released an album, that's Nas. Mm-hmm. Like, Nas can do that, and he's still releasing good music. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that Andre has to release rap music, bro.
Yeah.
Sometimes we outgrow things, and even though and it doesn't have to be a bad thing that we're outgrowing. We could just outgrow certain things. Like, I used to wear expensive shoes and expensive pants and shirts, but I've outgrown that. Now I'm just wearing plain t-shirts and regular pants. It's not a bad thing to outgrow a situation.
Yeah.
And the sooner we realize that, we'll stop pushing our what do you call it? inadequacies on people.
Yeah, you got to live it though. Like, you know, we treat it like what's it called? Like A Christmas Story. I think the Ebenezer Scrooge. I forget the name of the actual story, but you know, when he all he cares about is his money, and you know, he don't care about nothing else, and then like he dies, and then his ghost is like taken through all the different scenarios in his life.
It's called A Wonderful Life.
A Wonderful Life, yeah.
It's the very good Christmas, probably one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time.
Yeah, so you know, you have that story, but that story's been done in different iterations,
yeah.
you know, cartoons and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's no way of knowing what it would be like to be famous on that level. Like sometimes I look at somebody like Beyonce, and just like you just look at them and you like, dang, like she can't even go to a drive-through. No. You know, she can't go to a grocery store. If she wanted to just pick up something from Target, like she just can't walk in there. It would cause a catastrophe. You know, it's pandemonium. You look at like, you know, I think about like when I was growing up, like the hottest R&B groups and rappers like Lil Bow Wow and Omarion and all these guys. They were, you know, they were like the people would have their pictures on their binder. I mean, on their what do you call that? Not a binder, but what is that thing over there? You know, that white thing.
A clipboard.
No, the 3-ring thing. What is that called? Is it called a binder?
Yeah, basically.
Oh yeah, it's a binder. Yeah, yeah. So people would have like their pictures on their binders and all this stuff. Like these are like, you know, they go on 106 in Park and the girls is going crazy. They had to retire some of their music videos on 106 in Park because it was #1 for like 20 weeks in a row.
Damn.
And you think about like they, you know, what their life is like, you know, and you hear like sprinkles of it like, dang, man, I just wish I could be normal. And I think that Andre 3000 is so far removed from the peak of his fame, like when he was on tour with Big Boy and all this stuff and selling out arenas. He's so far removed that he's kind of like curated a life for himself where he can have a little bit of normalcy. And it just sucks for him because he's super talented. And the thing about it is when you're really great at something and you got a lot of work ethic, that's the result of it. Like it's having the biggest hip hop selling album of all time. But at the same time, I think he got a taste of it. Like, you know, like It's a Wonderful Life. He got a taste of it and he realized that he would probably much rather be like a really great rapper and be normal. Where at one time he probably was like, I want to be the greatest rapper and the biggest rapper and sell all the albums and tour and do all the movies. But now he's just like, I want to be really good, make really good music, but I also want to go shopping. I also want to fold my clothes at the laundromat. And you can't really have one without the other. Mm-hmm. You know, even a person that he's you know, released an album with just music, there's no lyrics on it at all, he still has garnered like this much attention. You know, he still sold X amount of records. He still sold more records than a lot of rap albums. So it's just it's a tricky situation, and I think he's just trying to navigate it just like anybody else would.
I think what it is too with Andre 3000 is over the years he's still done features, and those features that he's done, like they've been like significant features. Like I haven't heard a feature from him on an album or anywhere that was bad.
Yeah, I mean he raps like he's one of the best rappers ever.
He is
just like not. Because, you know, sometimes when they put the rap list, like they talk about accolades and, you know, hit records and stuff like, but just like in terms of writing a lyric or writing a verse, there's not too many people that can like go to a place that Andre 3000 can go.
Andre had that song with Rick Ross years ago, 116 ain't enough. And it was a long ass.
Yeah, and he just kept rapping. Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah.
He had a recent feature too. I can't remember who it was, but it was very recent.
Yeah, one with Killer Mike.
That was probably the most recent.
Yeah. So every time he pops out, it's just like one of the best verses of the year, you know, and that's just kind of how it goes. So that's why, you know, people want an entire album from him. But I don't know. I think at a certain point we just have to appreciate artists for what it is, because when you think about take somebody like, if we talk about movies, a guy like James Cameron, you know, and I'm not saying that I love all of his movies. I'm just saying like every time he steps out, it's box office. You know, like every time the Avatar movie, it takes 10 years to make or 20 years to make or whatever. And every time it drops, it's $1 billion. So sometimes we just got to like appreciate the art when it comes. And that's just, and like they said, if you want to, what Jay-Z said, like you want to hear my old stuff, go buy my old album. You know, that music is still there.
I think the way we comprehend, not even comprehend, but the way we receive music now is just so, it's so fast.
Yeah.
Like we don't appreciate albums anymore. Like like I do because I'm 38. So I grew up in really like almost, what do you call it? I grew up almost being surgical with albums where I would buy a physical CD. You open it up, you get to see all the features on it. You would read it. There'll be the lyrics would be on there, all kind of stuff. You could personalize it. Like listening to music in the 90s was an experience. Mm-hmm. You know, nowadays it's just like it's dropped on Spotify or it's dropped on Tidal, you know, and people don't really respect
Skipping through it.
Skipping through it.
And not to mention, some people have the free version of whatever, so they can't even hear the sequencing of the album.
Nah.
You know, they hearing number 5 and then number 2 and then number 8 and then, you know, so it's a whole thing. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like I like to experience, like if it's just a regular artist, like I'll just listen to it. But if it's one of my favorite artists and I know they really care, you know, about the album, they care about the interludes and all that stuff, like I'll just sit down in a quiet space, or, you know, when I'm about to hop on the road, I'll just, you know, hit play and then listen to it, you know, for the ride. But not too many people do that anymore.
Yeah. I think the artist has to build that reputation though.
Mm-hmm.
In order for me to do that and actually craft the time to listen to the music that way, it's like an artist that has to build that reputation.
Yeah.
Like I think there's only a few artists that got that now. Like like Logic. Logic, he's kind of like that with his music.
Mm-hmm.
Like he still has skits on some of his albums.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has like
he'll do like a whole story.
Yeah.
You know, like one where it was like this kind of like futuristic
yeah.
robot or something where it was having a conversation, and it was like it was a whole thing. So that's dope. Yeah, that just shows you care. I think with anything, and like we were talking about earlier with the comedy, I just want to be able to, like you were saying, actually, like I just want to be able to press play, turn the movie on, turn the podcast on, and hear that you care in your voice.
Yeah.
Hear that you care when I see the first frame. Hear that you care when I hear the first kick. Like I just want to know you care. And that's the crazy part about, you know, this space is that not a lot of people care. So the people that do care tend to, like, you know, rise to the top.
Yeah.
Because you can turn on a $200 million movie and be like, they didn't
give a fuck.
They didn't care. They just threw this together.
Yeah. There's elements of that in everything, whether it's comedy, podcasting, whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's some podcasts, and first of all, it's that's all subjective. There's certain things that entertain people and other ones that doesn't. But some of this shit that's popping up now is not even podcasts. It's just two people being very socially awkward the whole time. And it's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
How is this engaging to anybody?
Yeah.
You know? Man, my allergies are fucking killing me. God damn.
All right, we can wrap it up, man. I don't want you dying over here.
Man, I'm finna fucking implode before we finish the damn podcast.
Is it just the dust or what?
I don't know. It's been like this is the second day I kind of had allergies. I might get some allergy medicine. Mm-hmm. I think Benadryl will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well,
got to get you right.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody out there dealing with allergies right now, yo. I'm with you. I'm with you, bro. Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, if you made it to the end of this episode, we appreciate you. Thank you for listening to our Trucker's Mind podcast. I'm Eddie McGee.
It's your boy K Fings.
We're out of here.
Peace.